changes for 2024. These changes coming for Social Security 2024 will affect millions of people, and we're going to talk about them, right? So you guys probably heard the big news. The Social Security Administration proudly announced, a very juicy 3.2% increase in your benefits, right? And it's pretty exciting stuff, right? Well, hold on to your hats, folks, because things are not nearly as rosy as they might seem. Now, I want to go ahead and break things down for you guys. Now, before you start daydreaming about what you might do with some of this extra money, maybe start taking vacations and taking your family out on, really nice fancy dinners. I want to just kind of give you guys the truth. But, a lot of you guys also asked, how can you possibly earn passive income from dividend paying ETFs like SCHD and JEPI? How can you earn an extra $3,000 in passive income through dividends, right? Well, I'm going to break this down for you guys later in this video. And a lot of you guys have also asked, how could this possibly affect my social security benefits if I'm on SSI, SSDI, or even a VA veteran? Well, these are all valid questions, right? How much earned income can you have? How much money can you have in your savings bank account before your benefits are affected? Well, guys, I want to deep dive into this later in today's video. But first, do me a quick favor, drop a quick like for the video if you appreciate the information, if you appreciate the content that I share with you guys every single day. And, also do me a quick favor, let me know if you can hear me in the comment section down below. I would really, really appreciate that. Unfortunately, I can't hear myself. So I'll just have to trust that you guys have my back and you'll let me know if you cannot hear me. So anyway, so the Social Security Administration, they thought it would be a great idea to go ahead and mail out notices of these increases to beneficiaries in early December, right? Well, most people might say it's a pretty nice move, right? But not so fast. Turns out that for many of us, these notices, they didn't quite catch up. They didn't quite match up with the promised 3.2% increase. You don't say. So wait, the SSA administration screwed up again? Well, you heard me right, guys. So, there's more to the story, right? So let's talk Medicare. So the gift that pretty much just keeps on giving, right? Now, for the government at least, if you think that your Medicare Part B premiums would be straightforward, then you would be wrong. These particular premiums, they have their sneaky way of making your COLA increase kind of feel more like a drop in the bucket, right? So for 2024, get this, guys, the standard Medicare Part B monthly premium, it's set to be a whopping $174.79, right? So that's about, $180 more than what you paid in 2023. Isn't that nice, right? So if you're banking on a $60 boost from that 3% COLA increase, well, guys, unfortunately, you'll have to think again, right? And you might just end up with a $50 increase in your pocket after you look at the fact that your Medicare gets cut. Kind of like what they did with the whole SNAP and EBT benefits, right? Hey, we're going to give you more Social Security benefits, but at the same time, they're going to reduce how much SNAP and EBT benefits you're getting on the other side, right? Now, brace yourself, folks, for the next slap in the face, because that's the only way I can really describe this thing. Taxes. So it turns out that COLA increases could end up costing you more in taxes than you prepared for, right? See, up to 85% of your Social Security benefits can be taxed, but the income thresholds that trigger this taxation, they haven't kept up with inflation. So, was it like double dipping? It's like you got double taxation, you got double dipping. I mean, it just keeps getting worse, guys. Now, if your income pushes you past these outdated thresholds, well, guess what? You may very well find yourself shelling out even more in taxes than you ever imagined, right? And I hate to give you guys the bad news because this is bad news, but I'm just going to give it to you straight. So what's worse is that these thresholds, they have been adjusted years ago. But here we are stuck with outdated rules that ultimately hit retirees and, people who are a part of the FIRE movement, the financially free retirement early plan, where it hurts the most, their wallets, right? So what do we do about all this stuff, right? And I see you guys getting really livid in the comments, and I don't blame you. I totally get you, right? But, it's not just about the problems, right? There's also some potential solutions out there. So for starters, there's at least some good news. There's this one-time payment of $1,400, which would obviously be really nice, right? So the Senior Citizens League, they were calling for this like 2 years ago. And honestly, it's needed now even more than then. But that's not it. The Social Security Expansion Act, which is a proposal that's aligning with President Joe Biden's tweet from nearly what, almost 3 years ago, which suggested an extra $200 per month increase for Social Security recipients. Right? Sounds good, right? Sounds good. Okay, let's give Joe a pat on the back. Let's give him a round of applause for the $200 per month increase for Social Security recipients suggestion, because that's all it was. It was a suggestion. He didn't actually carry out on his plans. Or was it a plan all along just to mention it and not actually carry out? Yeah, I'm not saying it was or it wasn't, but it sure makes you wonder, doesn't it, right? Well, so here's the catch, guys. We haven't seen any of these proposals turn into law as of yet, but there are promises that haven't been kept. And I'm starting to see a little bit of a pattern here, and I don't know if I like it. Now, now that we've unveiled some of the issues, let's go ahead and go back to the basics, right? So the COLA, the increase for 2024 is, everybody's, bragging about it from Congress about this big old whopping 3.2%, right? And then you got the Social Security Administration. They've been sharing their anticipated monthly increases for the different categories of different beneficiaries. But what's the deal, guys? The thing is retirees, they can look forward to an average monthly increase of just $58, bringing their average monthly check to $1,885. Now, I don't know how much you're getting. I don't know how much your Social Security check is, but the SSA has reported that the average check will be going to $1,885. So it's going to be an increase of $58. Your check might be larger than that, and your check may also be smaller than that, right? I get it. But does this sound reasonable to you guys? Just let me know in the comments. Now, workers with disabilities, on the other hand, the rules are a little different. They're going to get an average $47 monthly increase. So this is going to push their checks to an average of $1,530. Does that sound a little bit closer to the size of check that you're getting from Social Security? You guys can let me know. But senior citizens, senior couples rather, they'll be receiving benefits together with an anticipated $95 boost, which would actually result in an average monthly check of $3,067. Widows and widowers, they will see a $55 monthly increase in their Social Security checks, which will be on average about $1,759. And if you happen to be a widower or happen to know a widower, with 2 children, then your monthly check could go up by $13, which is basically putting your average monthly payment at about $3,633. But here's the kicker, guys. These are just the averages. This is not what everyone's getting. Some people are getting a lot more than this. Some people are getting a lot less than this. Holler if you guys feel me on that, right? Now, your actual increase depends on your current monthly benefit amount. And I see a lot of you guys talking about how yours is way lower than that. Yeah, like I said, it's going to vary. Now, I also saw a comment in here, someone saying that my volume is low. You guys let me know, is my volume too low? Please let me know in the comments down below if the volume's too low. Not really sure what I can do about it right now, but if it is too low, I'll try to make some adjustments. But anyway, so here's the kicker, guys. Again, these are averages. Everyone's amounts are going to be different, and I totally get that. Someone says my volume is fine. Perfect. Thank you. So whoever's saying that my volume is low, hopefully you can maybe turn your volume up on your phone or on your computer or in your car. Some of you guys, where are you guys listening to me from? Are you in your car? Are you listening to me from your phone, on the TV? Let me know how you guys hear me. Maybe I can try to optimize things in the future. But all right, guys, so that's the lowdown on why your Social Security increase is not necessarily all that it's cracked up to be, at least from a Medicare premiums perspective. And of course, you got your Medicare premiums taking a big chunk out of your benefits, which is really messed up. It's like, we pay into the system, and at the end of the day, it's like you pay into the system through tax, and then when they pay you your benefits, they want to go ahead and tax you again. Like, how is this fair? And I'm saying you because I'm not receiving a Social Security check yet, but I sure would hope that Social Security even freaking exists by the time I'm eligible. But at the way things are going, guys, I don't have a whole lot of faith in these guys. Bernie Sanders says he's going to get things fixed, but I don't know. President Biden promises another $200 a month. I hadn't seen it yet. So anyway, but from Medicare premiums, just taking a bite out of your COLA increase to unexpected taxes eating away at your benefits. I mean, it's not exactly the windfall that a lot of people were hoping for. Now, I don't want you guys to give up hope. There's still hope on the horizon, with calls for a one-time payment and more substantial increases to Social Security benefits. I'm gonna definitely keep you guys posted. You know how I do on the channel. If you appreciate the content, drop a quick like for the video. Also consider subscribing and turning on all notifications so that you are aware of the latest breaking news whenever I provide you guys with updates, which is usually a couple times a day. So don't forget to subscribe. Make sure your notification bell's turned on. Now, in the meantime, if you happen to be one of those people who have been endlessly scouring the internet for passive income ideas, and you probably tried it all from side hustles, real estate, multi-level marketing programs. You might even be, selling those questionable get-rich-quick ebooks. But hang on, guys, and I totally get the skepticism, but I want to dive just a little bit into the world of dividends. And a lot of you guys have been asking me about this. So I wanted to hold true to my promise that I would discuss more on this question, on this subject, right? So you guys heard it right, dividends, right? It's this, the magic of internet money that promises to kind of let you sip margaritas on a beach. Meanwhile, your bank account just gets direct deposits on a regular basis, right? But before we start daydreaming about a life free from the daily grind and worrying about income and just having passive income hit our bank accounts on a regular basis, I want to quickly dissect the whole dividend thing. All right. So, what are these mystical dividends anyway, right? Well, basically, when you buy a share of a company, you're essentially buying a tiny piece of that company. And guess what? Owning a piece of the pie comes with some benefits. It comes with some perks, right? So companies sometimes decide to share some of their profits with their shareholders. And so that would be me and you if you happen to buy, right? So, they do this by giving you a slice of the pie and they call these dividends, right? And literally, now don't expect these dividends to come raining down on you like it's some kind of golden shower. That would be kind of gross anyway, if you guys happen to get what the golden shower is. But, they're doled out on what a somewhat regular basis would be, which is usually around every 3 months or so. They send out a check or direct deposit. But some actually pay out monthly. And these amounts could be pretty substantial. It really depends on your personal situation and how much how committed you were to this particular company, right? Now, the amount you get depends on the stock's price and it's expressed as a percentage, right? So, if a share pays out like $5 a year and the stock's trading for like $100, then you're looking at like a 5% yield. Not too shabby, right? It's way better than what they're paying at these savings bank accounts, right? Most of these savings bank accounts, they only pay you like 1% if you're lucky. But here's the kicker, guys. Not all companies are playing the dividend game. Some are stingy with their profits, right? Some are laying people off left and right. Some prefer to reinvest their profits into their operations because they think that they can grow faster that way. And, that's a debate for another day. I'm not going to say whether, them keeping their money in the business versus paying it out to the shareholders is better or worse. We'll save that debate for another day. But for now, I want to focus on the sweet, sweet dividend conversation, right? So why should you even bother with dividends, especially when there's so many other ways to make a quick buck, right? Well, here's the thing you got to consider when it comes to dividends, right? It's like magic money. So it's like, getting paid dividends kind of feels a little bit like pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Like you wake up, you check your bank account, and boom, there it is. Money seemingly out of thin air. But then, of course, markets could be a little wilder than a bull in a china shop, right? But dividends are a little bit different. Dividends are more like, kind of like the wise old grandparents who've seen it all. Whether your stock is trading for $20 or your stock is trading for $40, you're still going to get the same amount of a dividend check. It's pretty predictable, especially if you're messing around with the dividend aristocrats. And if you guys don't know what the dividend aristocrats are, well, maybe I need to break that down for you guys a little bit later, or perhaps in a future video. But those are some of the most steady dividend payments, like way more steady than our old shaky social security system, if you know what I mean. But stock prices, right? Let's talk about that for a second, right? They're kind of like caffeine addicts, right? So one day the stocks are up, and then the next day the stocks are down, and it's enough to give you whiplash. Now dividends, though, different ballpark, different story, right? So the dividends, they're more of a steady picture, so to speak, right? And they've been known to fluctuate by just maybe about 10% during market downturns, usually at the worst. Now, if you compare that to the roller coaster ride of the S&P 500, huge difference. All right. Now, if we want to talk about some recession-proof income, dividends and dividend payments may actually, believe it or not, increase during a recession. Now, who wouldn't want a bigger check because you're in a recession, right? They were talking about recession stimulus checks. That went quiet fairly quickly, right? Anyway, so in some cases, these dividend payments may have actually jumped by as much as 46%. So imagine getting a 46% raise because it's a recession. Wouldn't that be pretty sick? Anyway, so dividend stocks, they could be the tortoise to the market's hair, so to speak, right? And they may not necessarily sprint ahead during a bull market because they typically don't, but they won't necessarily crash and plummet during a market crash either. So sometimes it's better to be safe than to be greedy. Let me ask you guys, would you rather be safe and know that you have enough money to survive, or be greedy and risk everything, but maybe you make millions of dollars? Let me know what you guys think on that one. Now, Fidelity, they actually found that like 54% of market returns, believe it or not, during high inflationary times came from dividends, not even the capital gains. Not bad, huh? Especially for a fairly conservative investment play, right? Now, if we talk about the tax breaks, which there are plenty, and this is how the wealthy get richer, because they know how to play this tax game, right? So the tax man cometh, but not as hard on the dividends, right? So, much like they're trying to come after your social security check and deduct left and right for taxes, they're actually coming after you way less on the dividends. Now, if you're in a lower tax bracket, you might not have to even pay any taxes on your dividends. You didn't hear this from me, but I'm just saying, there's some hacks out here. But seriously, guys, even if you're rolling in the dough, even if you're balling out of control, you'll still likely pay less tax on dividend incomes compared to ordinary income. And this is what Warren Buffett said the other day. Well, maybe not the other day. He said it early. He said it before, that he pays less taxes than his secretary. Now, I don't know if he means less percentage or a lesser amount, but Warren Buffett's a billionaire. And if he's paying less taxes or a less percentage, I want to know how this guy's doing it, because he's making a whole lot more than we are, isn't he? So anyway, before you guys jump headfirst into the dividend deep end, I want you guys to think about the other side of the coin, right? So obviously, when it comes to investments of any kind, whether it's dividends and whatnot, it's no surprise. There's no guarantees, right? And so much like the surprise ending in a bad movie, dividends are, they're not always a sure shot. So I just want to put that out there, right? There's always some risks involved. Now, companies can do, companies can do basically what we call dividend cuts, right? Which is basically reducing them, or reducing how much dividends are paid when times get tough, right? But ultimately, it's kind of like getting a slice of the pie one day and then being told that the baker's closed, or the bakery's closed the next day, right? So that's why you want to invest in companies that have a long history of paying a consistent growing dividend over long periods of times, even during recessions. Hint, hint toward the many of the dividend aristocrats that I mentioned earlier. But when stock prices play, basically stock prices can fluctuate up and down. But here's a real fun scenario that I want you guys to think about, right? So you're raking in a cool 5% dividend, right? But your stock tanks by 30%. Now all of a sudden, you're not sipping on margaritas by the beach anymore. You're kind of like drowning in your sorrows, drinking on that cheap scotch, getting lit. because your portfolio just tanked, right? Now, take 3M for a second, right? Pays a sweet 5.6% dividend, but it's a stock that has tanked by more than 55% in the last 5 years. Ouch. So you might be getting a 5% check, but your capital appreciation is taking, 55% haircut. Not cool, right? And of course, oh, the joys of taxes, right? So dividends are kind of like the kid who can't wait to share, they get taxed as soon as you receive them. Now, depending on whatever tax bracket you happen to be in, that could actually mean a hefty chunk of change. And don't forget, they've already been taxed at the corporate level before they even hit your bank account. So I want you guys to be aware of that. Now, let's just briefly just kind of like look at value versus dividends for a second, right? So some smarty pants economists, they argue that dividends, they don't actually create any value for a company. It's kind of like saying, instead of getting a 2% dividend, the stock price could just go up by 2%, right? Same difference, right? Well, maybe not. So now that we got, some of the dividend ABCs and the basics out the way, I think you guys are doing a good job of keeping up with me on this one. And drop me some comments down below if you guys have any questions about what I'm covering so far. But if you want to dip your toes into the dividend waters, there's an amazing ETF, and I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying, like, I like SCHD personally because I personally, invested in it for a while. I've read a lot of good things about it, and I continue to. And they're very diversified. Now, I'm not saying that you should invest in it. I think you should always do your own research and never invest in anything without consulting a financial advisor. I'm not a tax advisor. I'm not a financial advisor or any of those things. But SCHD, the Charles Schwab U.S. Dividend Equity ETF, it's kind of like the heavyweight champion of dividend ETFs. Now, it's not here to play games. It's here to make you money. Or at least that's what the objective is. At least that's what they put in the prospectus, right? So, but SCHD is it's a fairly stout ETF, right? So, and it's got dividend aristocrats galore, and I've kind of touched on the dividend aristocrats earlier in today's video, but SCHD is all about quality, right? It invests in U.S. stocks with a history of consistent dividend payments, and we're talking about the cream of the crop here, guys. These are companies that have shown their commitment to shareholders by, consistently increasing their dividends year after year. And this is what I'm personally looking for when I'm looking for a good investment, for dividend payers, right? I'm trying to get that check. I don't know about y'all. I think you guys are trying to get that check too, right? Comment down below. Let me know. So you're not just getting dividends, but you're also getting reliable growing dividends. And that's almost more important than the starting dividend yield, right? So, but speaking about the dividend yield, right, it's actually got a fairly solid one, right? So SCHD is kind of like the friend who always picks up the tab, right? It boasts a very solid dividend yield, which means that you can expect to get a fairly good chunk of income from your investment. Nothing's guaranteed, of course. Now, as of now, SCHD's dividends hovering around 3% mark, right? And that's nothing to sneeze at. You got the dividend holdings from SCHD. It's not putting all of its eggs in one basket, and that's what I like to see. I like to see diversification. It's got holdings in various different sectors, from healthcare to technology, and this diversification can help you to spread your risk and keep your dividend investment more stable, more safe, especially as we head into this recessionary environment. And so even when some sectors hit a rough patch, you'll be diversified and likely in a much safer position. What I also like is the lower expenses. Now, one of the perks of this ETF, SCHD, is their low expense ratios. So you're not going to be bleeding money left and right to fees, leaving you with more cash to invest or even splurge on some of those margaritas that you've been dreaming about. Get off that cheap scotch. Yeah. So if you're looking for a straightforward way to dive into the world of dividends, SCHD, you can look it up on, any of your favorite stock apps, Robinhood, M1 Finance. You can jump on Google and just type in like SCHD, right? And this could very well be your trusty sidekick. But I just wanted to share that information with you. Just a little tidbit in case you guys wanted to, get some ideas from me. Uh, I can talk more about other ETFs, other dividend paying stocks if you guys want me to. And if you have any dividend stocks or ETFs in mind that you want me to cover on future videos, definitely drop me a quick comment down below. I would totally love to hear from you guys. And here's one thing that I definitely do want to cover with you guys. So, um, SCHD definitely is the star of my dividend show. It's a broad U.S. market ETF, but it's kind of got like a cousin, and its cousin is SCHB, right? And it's kind of like the Avengers of the stock market. It's got like 2,500 of the biggest U.S. companies, right? And it's got like $3.8 billion invested. It's kind of like having a golden goose that lays like a $5,000 egg it lays like a $5,000 egg every single month, right? So just imagine, like, that would be pretty significant, wouldn't it? Now, if you wanted to go global, kind of like to spice things up just a little bit with an international equity fund and international equity ETF, specifically SCHF. And it's kind of like getting a taste of global diversity, right? Including companies like Nestle, Samsung, Toyota, companies we actually have heard of, right? Now, with nearly $1 million, you could literally rake in like an extra $2,000 per month in passive income, right? And from an individual stocks perspective, I'm not one to put all my eggs in one ETF basket. I'm just not going to do it. I don't care how diversified that ETF is. Your boy ain't going to do it here, right? So I like to dabble in some individual stocks too. And in total, they pump out around $9,400 in dividends every single month, or a cool $112,000 annually. So, how does that sound to you guys? Like, can you imagine earning some passive income from your dividend ETFs? Do you have a favorite dividend ETF? Let me know what your favorite one is in the comment section down below. And if you don't have a favorite, let me know if you'd like to learn more about this. I can share more updates, more information with you guys in future videos. But that's all for today. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a quick like, consider subscribing, and I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. Y'all be safe.